G'day and welcome back for more Survival Impossible. And to begin with, I have fixed a few things that were bugging me. One was that apparently when I placed this scaffolding block, it was the only one when I replaced it. Not the original wrongly placed positioned one. The wrongly positioned one was correct. The fixed position one, I'd flipped the bar around. So I didn't have them all like doing the same angle. Which was weird, and I'm not sure why I did that. And for those of you who were bothered by it, it's fixed. I don't always fix those things, but this time I did. I've also added, as many of you recommended, and I had definitely forgotten, I've added some lights. So we've got some corner lights, we've got a single spotlight at the front so that I can actually see things. Haven't added any extra functional blocks in here, but I did already have a remote and an antenna in there, so that was already sorted. I do need to set this to depressurize so that oxygen tank gets full. But the bigger things that I've worked on that were just kind of repetitive of what I've already done is this. Notice it looks quite different. I've gotten rid of the entire little bit of catwalk down the side of the train because it's not needed if I mount all of this system above the cockpit. What this means is that I can actually walk straight onto this little catwalk bit beside it, get in the cockpit, flip it around. I can build from inside the cockpit, because see, the cockpit just snugly fits under there. In fact, what I should probably do, because I altered these rotor offsets to allow me to place some of that catwalk, is I should displace that rotor down so that it doesn't quite collide with the cockpit doesn't quite collide with there. But yeah, I can then hop out, I can do stuff, I can adjust hinge angles and things as I go along the track. This is great. It's exactly what I needed it to be. And it is much tidier. And from inside, I can still place the blocks and still drive the train. This is fantastic. I do have to set up my controls because I still haven't set up... Oh no, we got jiggle. Why we got so much jiggle? I didn't have jiggle when I was staying still. Okay. Still had too much talk. Have not set up the park script, which can now do this. I haven't done that yet, so I've got a few setup things for the cockpit to go, but did want to show off that I'd updated it and made it so that the train can be a little more tidy, because this is much cleaner. It's much better. It's going to allow me to do the platform, and with the platform, I've also updated my hinges here. They're now mounted on these conveyors off to the sides rather than directly onto the containers, which means they're now mounted high enough that I can build my whole platform out to the width that I wanted to. Yay! In fact, what it's probably going to do is show that this train model, the width of it, is actually now too narrow. But that's okay. Too narrow is okay, because there's a little bit of wobble side to side, so I want to leave a little bit of play. So, what am I going to work on right now? The first thing is getting this guy mounted onto the train. I want to check something before I put it where I originally thought, and see if it'll fit in the low section of the car. That is a resounding no. No, it will not. It will definitely not fit. Oh, I mean, sorta? Yeah, kinda does. Definitely can't walk past it though, which is not ideal. I think we'll stick with my original plan of putting it up here. Means what I need to do is... Can I put it all the way back here on the connector? Yeah, I could. Alright. So if I mount the connector enough blocks high that these thrusters aren't going to cook the deck, I should be able to connect on there. And just to prep for hooking up and not having this thing explode like the Canary did, let's set up our event controller. Oh, and as to the name of this vehicle, I didn't originally like it, but I kind of do now. I asked on Discord about names of various insects that have a larger than would be expected caboose, and was given the suggestion of a bed bug. I don't think seriously, but it's sitting on the bed of the train. I wanted an insect name. Bed bugs have big backsides, so that's what this is now. That's what it is. I was reminded of that because I needed to make a group of my thrusters so that the event controller can on connector connected. Where is it? Connector lock unlock. Small connector. Set up actions. I do love this new symbology. I think this is vanilla. Or is this build info? Alright, so on connected, I want the blocks to be turned off, and on disconnect, I want them to turn on. And what we can do as well is set up the batteries to have a recharge. And lastly, the antenna. Because it's annoying having antennas on when things are docked. Alright. So that's ready to dock. Now let's find the spot. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks up. Now, do I want to do it 4 blocks up, or do I want to do it 5? That I'm not sure. I do want to do... Iron these out. Now, do I want this to come up in line with these, or should I bring it out? I think I'll bring it out another block. Because the connector's going to come back in that block, so it'll end up being quite cumbersome if I don't. So I don't think I'll raise this up an extra block, because it's already quite tall. Oh, that didn't work. That did. Okay. So that should work relatively cleanly. I'm just thinking whether I try and get a little bit of scaffolding in on this. Whether it'll look good to have something. I reckon even just these mini scaffolds will probably do the trick. Just something like that is enough. And then on the sides here, let's use that. Nope. The pointy bit on the top looks weird. So instead, I'm going to use this. Yeah, I think that does the trick. Alright, let's get rid of... yeah, we'll get rid of that. Clean this up. There is a little problem I foresee with what I've done here. I had hoped that I would be able to walk past the bedbug and get all the way down to the back of the train so that I could access the cargo there with my suit. Yep, locked down or working. Good, good, good. In fact, I think I might even need to put that connector out further to the side. That's a little annoying. Something else I wanted to point out this week is something really important for anyone who's playing along in the Survival Impossible scenario, and that is that you need to go and get this mod. This is made by Astria, and it is a fix for the VSE mod. You'll need to make sure you put it in the correct order in your mod list, which is an unusual thing for space engineers, but whenever you're fixing a mod, you need to do things like this. It's a bit weird. But yeah, make sure it's above the... It's in the collection. I've added it to the collection for Survival Impossible, so you just have to make sure that it's in the correct order. And that should allow you to target lock, which I hadn't noticed because I hadn't target locked anything since I loaded up with this. I fully expect that when the vanilla survival stuff comes out, No, I don't want to look at the desk. I want to sit in the desk and get power. When the vanilla update with food comes, I'll probably be abandoning using mods and I'll just use the vanilla one. Even if it's not exactly what I'm after, I think going vanilla for this stuff has significant benefits. On the topic of mods though, I think I've also come up with something that I should be able to make using MES that will make Assert interesting for this series. I've still got to work on the actual making of the mod, which may take me several weeks or even months to do. But what I'm going to do is build a system where the Assert bases gradually increase their threat. So each base, not you have to wait to get unlucky enough or lucky enough, depending on your perspective, for a specific bad base to spawn, but every single base has the capability of eventually being dangerous. Because it'll spawn in more turrets, it'll spawn in other things around it to make itself more powerful. I've got to figure out how I'm going to do the balance side of that, but yeah, that's my plan for ACS, and this series to bring some combat and some fear back in, that'll hopefully be also manageable without having to do 10 billion turret spams because I have to take out large grids. Because large grid combat in Space Engineers, I think is where the combat is bad. I think small grid combat in SE is actually pretty fun, but large grid combat, because of the durability, is actually a bigger problem, weirdly. Or at least fighting against them is usually just a case of you need so many guns that their kinetic energy is not going to wipe you out. But back to the train. One of the things that I think I need to do to update this train, and what I'm going to do now, is kind of work on the station a bit, because I want to get a connector into the rail. I had completely forgotten, and I'm glad people reminded me, that connectors, when oriented this way, have a very, very similar collision to a blast door, which is what my rail is made out of, in this direction as well. So if I walk along the side here, you can see there's a little dip as I hit the corner. The connector is actually narrower than the blast door block, but it's such a small difference that the wheels can cope with it. So I can have a connector mounted directly in the rail. What this means is I can get rid of this silliness, which is great, because I want to actually build the platform out a bit today. And I can put a connector directly in the rail, but now I need to figure out where on this car I'm going to put this connector so that I can get steel plate into the system. And then I have to figure out how I'm going to get any steel plate into this car. But I might actually just build 2 connectors into the rail. Because if we look under this car, I've got a 3x3 space here. If I cut the floor out of this, I should be able to cut through and make a little bit of storage for steel plate that is dedicated to this car. Yeah, it's a bit suboptimal to be having storage in 2 spots, but this means I've got building storage for steel plate, and I've got track storage for steel plate. So like, when I say building storage, I mean like placement building. Let's cut out the floor and see how we can line this up. So I'll start with this one, because this one's actually the easier one. So what I'm thinking I can do is have 2 inset connectors back to back. One there, and one there. And hopefully between those 2, there's enough storage. So I'm not sure how else I would get enough in there. or really get anything in there, because it's only 4 blocks deep. I mean, I guess I could put the connectors side by side and I could have more than just the 2 of them. I could have 4. That's actually not a bad idea. So I think there's a little bit of a weirdness with the connectors. If you mount them side by side like this, I think I might even be able to pass steel plate through them. But even if I can't, I think having 4 connectors will give me enough storage that it'll matter. Oops. I should really weld up those bottom ones first, because that's going to be really hard to reach otherwise. Alright, let's test this theory. If I put 10 in there... No, I can't grab them. Yeah. Wishful thinking. But, how much storage have I given myself? So that'll be 4,000 liters of storage. It's not huge. It's barely more than 1 medium cargo container. Like, it almost... It'd almost be better to just put a medium cargo container in the floor and fill it up manually when I get back to the station. Oh, that's annoying. That actually is better. That's that. So I could fit one of these in the floor. Alright, we'll do that. Oh. Wait, no, that doesn't fit in the floor, because there's ability to connect directly to the train versus ability to carry more plate. That's actually a tough decision to make. Actually, it's not all that tough a call to make, because connectors mean if I can manage to line up the track connectors so that both connectors can lock at the same time, as in the front car and the back car lock at the same time, hopefully I can even... Maybe I should remove the connectors that I've currently built and spread them a bit, so that hopefully they can have a double connector. so that everything can lock and load and get automatically script loaded at the same time. Because the chances of me forgetting to bring steel plate to build from those cockpits is high if I have to manually do it. So yeah, alright, I'll do that. So this is what I was talking about with spreading the connectors out. Hopefully this means that they can line up with 2 connectors that are in the rail next to each other. And hopefully I can also line up, after locking these down, line up connectors in the rear car on the rail. So now what I need to do is probably decide where these 2 connectors are going to be and then build the other one. But to do that, I really want to get rid of this last bit of solar panel here and open up the full length of this station that I was planning on using, which means supporting the rail in a new, hopefully more final way, and then extending it out and finding where I can put those connectors in. So support the rail down this end is probably a good idea. Okay, rail is now supported down there, so I can detach at the other end and that'll be fine. Hey, I didn't get hurt. That was a bit of a risk to take. I really wanted to get down here to place out a bunch of this stuff. So what I've done is I've added a second blast door block beneath the rail, and then I'm putting some panels along from there, because that'll keep the roof at a reasonable height. And if I can put these panels in a few spots, I'll have a few options of connection positions for when I start cutting the rail in pieces to put the connectors in. So hopefully sections of rail don't drop, because if that drops on these vehicles, they're in trouble. I've also done the sensible thing and finally built a scaffolding ramp, but to get back up. For the moment, this is going to be a terminating line, but I'm still going to put the blast doors all the way along, I think. What I'm going to do for a safety stopper, I could put like some wheels at the height where this is, so that that's what they'll collide with, and use them as bumpers for that. Or I could just bump into these wheels right here. And I can do that by adding some full cubes up to that point. 2 blocks is definitely enough. So that's as far as the train will go. Because these side mounted wheels, that's what... Ow. Glad I built the scaffolding to climb back up. Those are what are going to collide with the stopper, and that should be perfectly safe. At least if I do it at a low speed. High speed could be a problem, as one would expect. Alright, so if I get rid of the solar panels above, I should be able to move myself into that position. I can then get rid of this connector. Let's fold it away one last time. Stow. It looks so pretty though. So pretty, so useless. I'm trying to be a little bit more callous about getting rid of stuff that I spent time on, if there's a better option available. Because I think overall, this train will be made better for it, but more importantly, the train that I'm planning on replacing it, I'm planning to actually use on this rail, not replace this one with, but rather actually use on this rail regularly, the better I make this train, the better that one will be too. And that's important. So every bit of extra effort in fixing up the cockpit there, making the width right, lifting the arms of the welders up so that I can actually slide into the station and have the same station and have all this, every bit of that effort I feel is worthwhile here because of the fact that this isn't the only train I'm going to build. I am going to build another one, and I need to make sure that it is going to be good. And the best way to do that is to make sure that I build this one well. And I implement all of the suggestions that you guys have that I feel are going to make the thing better. Alright, that should be good for me to now reverse all the way up. Okay. So it should be these, that should line up really nicely with these 2 blocks. Those connectors should both be able to lock. I guess I should test this before I assume it's all going to work. Hooray! 1 light. And 2 lights! Yeah! Okay, winning. Excellent. Now, where on this car lines up nicely with a block? Yes! 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 Oh man! I can't believe how well that worked out. It's perfect. This should line up perfectly with the end. Oh, that's brilliant. That is so brilliant. So what I'm imagining I'm going to do is just chop out the middle 3 blocks from here. I'll obviously be removing the battery that's in there. And I'm just putting the connector right at the very back of the car. I'm glad I added these bits past the bogies. Because I did them, I thought, purely for aesthetic reasons. Because I was like, well, it kind of feels like you need to have something there. And it turns out, it's also a very convenient spot for a connector to be placed. Oh. Oh. Falling in holes again. Can I just grind out these 3? Not all of them? Yes, good. Really? After last week? It's not what I needed. So yeah, insert connector here. And I should be able to cut this blast door out. Put a regular connector oriented that way. That is quite the blizzard. And in theory, all 3 of these connectors should be lined up. Lights on. And please still be on, these 2. Yes! Okay, yep. This was the right call. I'm glad I used connectors on this bit. The fact that I can line everything up and I can fill up 4,000 liters of storage. I know that's only 4 suit inventories worth, or just a bit more, maybe about 5, because of the little bit of that I'm using it with bottles and stuff. Being able to do that without actually having to remember to do it is a big benefit. Alright, now I just need to conveyor this up, and we're good. I think I'm going to have to use junctions here for aesthetic reasons. So you go junction, little buffer base piece, and then yeah, it's easy. If we didn't know better, you'd think I might have done this on purpose. And designed it this way, rather than just being sheer luck. Whoa, okay. Instant snowstorm end. I don't know why the weather transitions so poorly. I don't know if I did something wrong when I set up weather on Omicron that means that the transitions are even worse than vanilla, or if that is just how bad the vanilla transitions are at the moment. Get rid of the old connector setup, and we are good.
Energy low.
Just need to repaint these. What I've been doing for the train is painting most of the conveyors yellow, except for the little extension pieces, because I think they kind of look almost rubberized. I quite like doing them in a grey. And I think it adds some nice detail, highlights that they're there without them really jumping out at you. So that should do the trick. Then I just need to put beam blocks back in here and hook up these new connectors to my actual conveyor system. There are plenty of spots on this build where things like conveyor caps wouldn't go amiss, and I'll probably not worry too much about placing all of them at the moment and just gradually add them as I see them or as I feel the need to. I expect to be interacting with this build on and off for quite a long period of time.
Energy
So I
critical.
think there's a decent chance that I can just do them bit by bit, like adding those 3 there. Then I can do the ones up on the cockpit, do the ones on the bottom side of these cargo containers. I'll do those in yellow, actually. Match the ones on the side. Oh, yes. I think this leaves me with just the loading mechanism for the bedbug to go. Cool. I got rid of some subgrids, and now I'm about to add some more back in. Could the loading mechanism also double as a way to get over the top of the bedbug? Or could I add a ladder? So if I can have a ladder, I could just climb up and over this thing. So that's where the side is meant to, that's where the platform's meant to come to, on that side. Just making sure I've got enough room to put the ladder. The ladder's going to be high enough that it's not a problem, actually. So it can go out that wide. Yes. Though the same argument could be had for just putting a catwalk that goes around. It allows me to walk around it. Okay, so I can't just run across. I will fall between the platform and the train. That's okay. For this one. For my full final train, my plan was to actually have it this wide. Which again, I'm pretty sure I can fall down in between. So I might need to be thinking about going still another block wider than that. Because at that width, I can walk across. Both ways. Okay, it's going to be quite the chunky train. Alternatively, I keep it narrow and we do this. And that is a very tight fit. I think that might be too tight. Let's check. I've been sidetracked and I can't remember what I was doing beforehand. Oh, I was thinking about the loading mechanism. Let's just test this though. Can the platform be that wide? Alright, connectors. Couldn't move the train because of the magnetism of the locks, so I just set up the connectors. We can all lock, all unlock, and then we drive forward. My worry with the platform is that this is going to be too close for those cargo containers. So let's see. Can I get my camera in a position where I can spot that? Gently does it. Yeah. It's a problem. Okay. So the half blocks are not going to be added to the platform. The main train is just going to have to be wider. There we go. All procs. And lockdown. Train is locked. We are definitely safe to have the platform out to here now, which is great. Alright, loading mechanism. I should be able to hop across there pretty easily. Yeah. It's pretty close to lined up, so I hopefully will be able to just drop her straight from something that's hinged onto here. Alright, what's the distance we've got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... 7 blocks. So I'll do 8, which is one of the small one, 2 of the small ones, 2 of the big ones. Then a hinge. Then I'll put the connector on the end. The more I look at where this train has ended up, the less likely I feel that I'm going to end up with building that separate rescue vehicle that I'd thought about. Because it does feel like I've kind of filled up a lot of this space anyway. So building the rescue vehicle feels like it might be overkill. And also leave me with not enough room. I should put a sorter on here. The reason I'm thinking a sorter is just in case I do decide to have more than steel plate on here, I might actually need to have the ability to make sure that only steel plate comes through. Alright, let's see if I can get this to work. So, go up. We go down, sorry. Is that going to collide with the welders? It is. Will it if this is bent all the way around? Huh. Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let me out, 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 game, please.
Fuel critical.
Oh no, 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 no. There was no way I could have ground out in time there. Oh, that was close. That was so close. Oh, man. Oh. That was terror. I thought I was dead then. Oh, man. That was a thing. Okay. I might need to put some grates in the floor there so I don't fall into that spot. Let's do that now. And on this side too, just in case. Okay, so that needs to go up, then this can flick over. And we'll see how far it needs to go for this to be in the right spot to drop into that collector. That looks like it could be a little too far forward even. I might not need this to be as long as it is at all. Yeah, I think I want to make it shorter. I will make the whole thing shorter. With it being shorter, I also don't have to worry about it interacting with the welders, which is good. I could probably replace this hinge with an elbow and not actually need this as a subgrid, but it's already built now, so it is what it is. If I bring this over, I want the upper limit to be... Oops, nope. I want the lower limit to be maybe 75. So let's try this. See if it ends up in the right spot. Nope. Ah! Arrgh. So we're only at 50 degrees. Ah. So let's go 45. have a look at that from this side. Oh, that looks perfect. That should go straight into the collector. Yeah. And if I do want to stow it, all I gotta do is reverse this hinge here. There is a part of me that's thinking I'm probably going to end up building a catwalk that runs around the side here, back where the old one sort of was, but now higher so that it doesn't interact with the platform. Because it is going to be annoying not being able to get to the back car on foot. I think that's the next thing I've got to add, but I got a functional construction train. Once I conveyor up the rail, I should be able to load this up and give it a go. That's awesome. It does lack any ability to generate power on its own, which I understand people are concerned about. It does, however, have how many batteries? 8, 11, 14, 17 batteries. So it's not shy on the battery power, but I could possibly check to make sure that they are all on recharge. So we've got the bedbug batteries, which let's prefix them so that I know which ones they are. Now we can grab all of the rest of these. Get ourselves an event controller. Alright, batteries on recharge. Hopefully. Battery... oh geez. Yep, recharge, cool. So that means that hopefully by the time I finish the last little bits of stuff around here, all the batteries on the chain will be fully charged, and I can do some welding. I can try and actually use this thing. I am almost certainly not going to be able to use those welders to weld the rail in here because there's so much stuff around here. So I'm going to try and start welding a few of these bits by hand as I get these conveyors in. So I've got the conveyor running all along the back there, but I'm not sure that's where I want to leave it. It's not that terrible, I guess. How am I going to do this? One of the problems I'm facing with running the conveyors under these connectors is ideally what I would do is drop them down a block, then down another block. But if I do that, I think I'm encroaching too much on the hangar space. The reason I want to go down 2 blocks is that these 3x3 wheels are spheres, and coming across sideways here might be problematic. Let's test it out. I can kind of help the situation a little bit if instead of using armored conveyors or something like that, I just use regular conveyors, because they don't have the full size collision, so they might be a better option. I should also probably go back to my survival kit and grab some hydrogen, just in case I get myself stuck somewhere again, so that I can wiggle myself free. So what I thought I'd do is I'd start here and test and see if I can get away with these, which looks pretty likely. Like that. Then put full conveyors here, and then I can link that all up nicely. So let's just get in the cockpit and give this a drive. Unlock. Do the wheels do anything funny? No, they seem to be passing over that, no worries at all. I don't know exactly where the point of the sphere is, as in where the lowest point of the sphere is with the wheels in this orientation. I should probably educate myself and have a look at the wheels again with like the physics primitives showing, because that would be very useful to remind myself of where it sits so that situations like this aren't as worrying, because I'll be confident as to what's actually happening. I was just thinking, I am leaving a space here that I could fall through, but I was planning on putting plate underneath that layer for the most part, so that should be doable here as well. And that will give me a safe place to fall. In fact, can I start replacing all this stuff underneath the rail? I think I can. That's supported, connected, yep. Alright, let's cut you out. I'm going to start building this out. See how far I can get. Well, that's all charging up. I'm quite excited. I'm genuinely really quite close to getting this usable. I'm just waiting to the point that I accidentally grind away something that I'm actually supported by. I can just so see it happening sometime soon. Okay. Safety net back in place. Yeah, let's get a whole bunch of stuff welded up. This is going to be slow. This is a lot of steel plate, but it needs to happen. How much iron do I have? Let's just check. Iron. we're at the start of a big iron heavy build. I've got almost 200,000. Okay. I think I'm going to run out of that relatively quickly. We will see. And that, of course, means I get to interact with, and I say get to because I kind of want to, I get to spend some time interacting with the launch air base, which is going to be fun. I don't know how much iron it has. I might even need to expand its capabilities. But I now know how to use drones properly. I've proven to myself that I can actually make a drone that reliably runs for months on end, even during a live stream. I feel like there's some real potential of stuff that I could do up there with the asteroids, even the ones just outside. That's good. Didn't get injured. Just outside the gravity well. I'm looking at the way that I've supported this track, and I'm thinking that it looks a bit flimsy. Having these giant pieces of track supported on just plate. I may have to go back and replace some of it, at least, with like beam blocks or at least armor slab pieces, the armor half blocks, just to make it look a little more robust. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Energy
Oh,
low.
that's bad.
Inventory full.
I was proper stuck there. Huh. I'm finding a lot of places to get stuck lately. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing differently to what I've done before. I guess I'm kind of working in a place that's got a fair bit of verticality, but I don't remember finding this many ways to get stuck in the past. Is my engineer put on weight? The more I look at the space down here, the more I'm wondering whether I can lift the running height of the train. Try and make it so that I can put a full cube under here and it not interact with the wheels. Because I would like to try and join some of these rails up this way. Just thinking whether there's a way to do beam blocks that would look right. So that's the other thing. Having beam blocks under these that go back to the building, if they're oriented that way, would look kind of tidy. Actually, it'd probably look tidier if I used these ones that way, or actually probably that way. Would look quite neat. I'm going to pop it in there and I'm going to drive the train over that spot a few times and see how it feels. Because it might actually be alright. I might be being overly cautious about this particular aspect of the train design. There may actually not be a problem. We'll find out in a second. See them interacting with it. What if I grab the short wheel tops, wheel offset, lift it all a bit higher. Let's go minus 0.15. That feels like it should be pretty safe. There's obviously some benefits in running a little bit lower. Let's see if there's a problem with the connectors now that I'm sitting a bit higher. Okay, that's a bit too high. I can only get 2 in proximity. Okay, let's try. So many little fiddly bits like this that need to be sorted. Try dropping 5 centimeters lower. There you go, all proximity lock. So that changes things. Excellent. That makes it a lot easier to support this rail. I'm still going to keep these conveyors the way I've done them because I kind of like it. But I'm going to build supports under the rails like this out of beam blocks that go all the way back to the wall. I'm going to need to make... I'm going to keep this kind of decking here, but I might actually convert it. Oh wait, no, I wanted to make this airtight. Did I? I did want to make it airtight. Oh dear. We will think about that. Now, do I want to make this half height? Do this. Can I jump up that? I can. Alright, yep, that's what I want to do, because then I can still move around down here. That is important to me. Oh. Well, that was surprising. I thought for sure that was going to hurt. Tends to hurt more when you fall onto blocks, but... Again, apparently I just disable fall physics. Or at least damage from falls. I legit haven't. Like, this is this is the admin screen. There's nothing going funny there. I don't know why I don't take damage with these things. It's very odd. I've had my suspicions around me using so many subgrids that I break that aspect of the physics system. But have very good luck with regard to that. These last 2 bits of track that I missed should be the last thing I kind of need for this to feel mostly complete for the moment. And then I've just got to set up the containers on the cargo containers on the train to load up with steel plates. We should be able to go and give this a test build. See how far I can actually get with a full load. See if I can even drive this with a full load of steel plate, because it might not even be possible. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I've filled in all the train or the rail around here, the station. It's bare, it's minimalistic, but it's functional for now. I've supported underneath, did a bunch of stuff around there. Hopefully, not too much of it needs to be reworked, but I'm sure a bit of it will. And the main thing is, I have a functional train station where I can climb up and down from below. It looks supported. It's all welded up. And that means let's set up the train. So I'm going to put as many steel plate as I can into each of these bits using Izzy's. 3,500 per container. Jeez. This thing's going to be heavy. Also, I don't have that many steel plate. I now have to make a bunch because I only have 5,000 in storage at any one time. So I'm actually going to have to change up my auto crafting and increase the amount that I'm making. Well, I think that's probably going to be the limit of what I can do now anyway. So instead of waiting for all of those to print off, I'm just going to drive off and see how far I get. So we'll drive out. I do need to add my pistons to my hotbars, so let's grab those. Let's pull out of the station. Oh, I don't have the controls to turn my welders on. Which welder is it? Oh man, I love the build info highlights them in the game world. So if you've got a transparent background to your control panel like I do, you can actually see that the highlight is moving around, and it is... there are so many really cool features to build info. Some of it feels a bit overwhelming to me and a bit metagamey that I don't like it, but things like that are just... they're just useful. They're just... so nice. Now I don't have any safeties for these welders yet, so that is something to keep in mind. I also don't have a safety to stop the train in the event that I've driven too close to the end of the track. I was actually thinking about that, and I'm not 100% sure how to apply it. I think what I need to do is turn off the programmable block and then stop the train. But yeah, that's... safeties are not set up yet. I do still need to do that. So let's flip the welder arms down. Turn them on. Let's start welding. See how quickly or slowly this train needs to move to get this welded. Well, that's good. So far, the second welder hasn't really had to activate. Now, this first section of the track is going to be very straight. I was intending for it to be quite straight and to start curving, probably still a little bit further than this. And I'm going to keep it roughly this altitude. So I'm going to try and keep it level for this segment as well, as in the segment until I get into that valley. Oh. Don't you love that? Oh, am I already out of steel plate? I think I might be. I am. Okay. Wow. I love that I said, don't you love that? Just as I ran out. Okay. Well, proof of concept. It works. I should be able to build from this. Arms back up. Let's go back to the station. It is nice though. I'm so happy. The train works. I can use the train now, which means next week I'm going to have to come up with some other things that I want to do. And I think that could involve finally doing the canary like I talked about 3 weeks ago, and some other little jobs around the place. While also every week seeing how far I can get. And hopefully I get a lot further than I did today. Hopefully I get a lot further before I run out of iron. I'm a little bit worried it's not going to be all that long before I run out. And maybe next week I will actually be going to the launch air base, or at least connecting to it to see what's up there. We'll find out then. So there's all that and plenty more to come. And I will see you then. Oh. This train makes me happy.